When it comes to music, no genre is as controversial as good old pop. Pop has been on the fence for a long time now and will probably continue to be so for a long time to come. Some people love pop music and listen to nothing else, while others despise it and try to stay away from it as far as possible. Personally, I'm pretty much in between. Some of my favorite artists are pop musicians and I listen to their music on a regular basis, but I don't listen to pop music exclusively. I also listen to a lot of lesser known artists. I already had colleagues ask me where I got all these songs from that nobody ever heard of. With that being said, I kind of understand both sides of the fence and their frustration with the opposing side. So, what kind of frustrations are we talking about? Isn't this all just a question of taste? Pineapple on pizza, ketchup or mayonnaise on fries? You know, everyone can listen to whatever they like. Well, if it really was that simple, I don't think we'd be having this conversation still. I think there's really two main reasons that seem obvious at first. The first one is that pop music is so samey, and you get tired of hearing the same stuff over and over again. That is definitely true. Pop music relies heavily on inspiring from whatever is popular right now. With that being said, that's also kind of the case for virtually every other genre out there. Any genre has certain themes and styles that defines it. And in that regards, pop music is no different than anything else. Also, pop is always changing. There was a time when rock was arguably pop. You know, the origin of pop rock in the 80s? Not so long ago it was EDM. So essentially, whatever is popular at any given time is pop. It's called pop for a reason. So I don't think that that's really an argument. The second reason is probably that it's just so hard to avoid pop if you don't like it. See, usually when you don't like something, you just avoid it. If you don't like pineapple on pizza, just don't eat it yourself and leave the people in peace that do like it. No harm done. While there are definitely some outliers, I think most people do understand that tastes can differ. The thing with pop is though, that it's not that easy to avoid. If you're on a party, if you're spending time with your friends, if you're just listening to the radio, chances are pretty high that pop music will play and you can't just not listen to it in many of these situations. So is it just people being fed up with it all that's causing so much backlash? Well, that's probably a reason for some people, you know, disliking something simply because everyone else likes it, but I highly doubt that really that many people fall under this category. So since these two reasons alone can't possibly be the cause for all of this controversy and we still need to find a good explanation, let me ask you a question. What would you say is the most important reason for music to become popular? I know, what question even is this? I mean, how good the music is, right? The more people like music, the higher the chances of it becoming popular, and the better it is, the more people are gonna like it. It seems to be pretty logical at least. It's probably also the morally correct answer. But I want you to ask yourself, do you really think that that statement is true? That the better you are at a craft, the higher your chances of success are? That the only reason why pop music is so popular is because people just like the music? Do you listen to pop solely because you think it's the art perfected to the T? Because I most certainly don't, and I honestly highly doubt you do either. Okay, let me explain that a little further. There's really only two reasons why I listen to music or consume any kind of art really. The first one is because it grabs me emotionally. You know, it makes me feel angry, sad, or scared. That is usually the kind of music that I keep running in the background, you know, whatever fits my current mood. In other words, it's purely subjective. That is the first reason that I personally like to call the consumption reason. The second reason is because I genuinely think that a piece of music is, quote unquote, good music. I'm fully aware that complete objectivity doesn't exist, and especially not in art, but with some pieces you just can't ignore the amount of care and thought put into them. Something that is so well crafted that every little detail seems to have a purpose. It's music that I listen to actively, where I try to pick on every minor detail and try to wrap my head around how it all fits together and it all came to be. It's usually where my analytical mind comes up. I am fully aware though that I'm the minority with that. I have a passion for almost any form of art out there, and I'm also pursuing in a lot of them myself. So this analytical approach to art is really my cup of tea. With that being said, I think for most people the reason why they listen to music is the first one. The reason for that is there's no requirement to feel a certain way about something. Any external influence is gonna cause an emotional reaction of some sorts. Whereas in order to analyze something, it is almost necessary to have a certain expertise in the topic. And most people simply don't have that. Almost anyone can tell you if they like or dislike something. But finding out why you dislike certain things and like others is in a whole different ballpark. And I think with that we are narrowing down the root of the underlying issue. What I mean with that is that your emotions are based on way more than just what you're doing right now. So in this context, listening to music. Your listening experience can be heavily skewed by virtually any amount of external influences. For example, if you just lost a loved one, you're probably listening to a lot of sad music to really reinforce these emotions and get completely lost in your sorrow. While this is obviously an extreme example, it's just to get the point across. In reality, any little bit of external influence will affect your experience. What you see on TV, what you hear in the news, who you are friends with. And if there's one thing that pop musicians are really good at, it's external influence. Think about your favorite pop artists. You've probably seen more of them than you've listened to their music. You know what they look like, what they wear, where they go shopping, what their social and political interests are, how they do their hair, what they eat, what they tweet. Other artists they know if they're single or not, who they are with, conflicts they have, and I could go on. This is not a coincidence. It's part of their job to make themselves as present as they popularly can. It's part of their job to make themselves as present as they possibly can. They try to make you feel like they're a part of your life and you're a part of theirs. They recommend products, share their life on social media and tell you about their interests and problems on Twitter, just like a close friend of yours would. They try to look as good as they can to make you want to be just like them. They motivate you by giving you a sense of relation. And sooner than you realize, all you think about when you listen to their music is the person behind it, the face that you constantly see anywhere you go. Billie Eilish, Shawn Mendes, Ed Sheeran, Ariana Grande, Juice WRLD, all just names. But you probably know more about these people than you'd like to admit. You know how they look, their age, their relationships, interests. I could yet again keep going. It's not about what emotion a song makes you feel anymore, but how you feel about the artist behind it. It creates a certain dissonance in perception, where it becomes almost impossible to view the music simply as what it is, a piece of art. There's always the aftertaste of the artist attached to it. People get so attached to these images that they follow them anywhere and stay up to date as much as possible. Almost like they need someone to cling on for one reason or another. Pop isn't about making your music popular, it's about being popular. And I'd argue it's exactly that that's driving so many people away from the pop industry. It's a shift in focus from the music itself to anything but the music. And of course, the fact that artists are putting less and less effort into their music as a result really doesn't help at all. That is also the front that I'm slowly but surely leaning towards. While I've personally nothing against pop music, I am really getting tired of people telling me how this singer looks good, or recent conflicts between producer X and Y, or whatever product this artist is buying. Does it even matter? Should it even matter to anyone? I guess I'm the wrong person to decide that. So, what does all of this tell us? Is pop a greater evil, a detriment to the music industry, and slowly but surely killing music as a form of art? I don't think so. I mean, there are obviously enough people that want it to be like that, and it's hard to argue that it's even a problem to begin with. But I think having these conversations and talking about the conflict more openly will give us a better understanding of not only the people on the opposite side of the fence, but possibly also ourselves. So, as a means of compromise, how about we try to get together for this one? If pop music is your life and you could die for the experience of all the surrounding stuff, maybe take a step back and really take your time to just listen to music for once. A completely uncompromised listening experience. Try to inhale all the medium has to offer, and maybe compare some of the songs you enjoy with some of the ones you don't, and try to figure out what you like about them and what you don't. You can do more with music than just to consume it, and maybe that'll be a pleasant experience on its own. And if you are a die-hard music enthusiast and you're avoiding pop like the plague, why don't you give it a fair chance again? I mean, pop is also music, and maybe you find something that you actually enjoy about it. Maybe you even find your new favorite artist in there, who knows? And even if you don't, at least you might get a better idea of why that is, and potentially have something to talk about with people that listen to nothing but pop music. At the end of the day, it's all about finding the middle ground, and even if it means that we have to step over to the other side we usually try to avoid, just to see what it's like to be there. Thanks for watching.